Fox Business is learning that special counsel Robert Mueller is expanding his election meddling investigation, now exploring the timing of President Trump's decision to run. Charlie Gasparino has
I can't tell if this is a fishing expedition or it's, maybe it is, or it's, this is what you do. You start from the bottom, you build a pyramid. But his investigation is kind of all over the place. It involves business things that Trump did in Russia. The Trump hotel in Russia. Remember, it's an ill-fated hotel. Didn't actually happen. He's asking witnesses about that. He's also asking witnesses about the timing when Trump decided to run. Now, why is that important? Because Trump is asserting that the Russians began meddling in 2014. Remember, that's part of the Mueller indictment that just came out, the 13 Russian nationals. Well, they're finding out that he actually considered running in 2014 right at the same time. So what does this mean? I can only tell you this. This is one of the most, if you think it's simple that they're looking at collusion and campaign, they're not. They've expanded this thing to his business interests, to many other aspects, who he dealt with, what Russians he dealt with in Trump Tower, if he's dealing with certain Russian mobsters in the U.S. I mean, they are asking those types of questions. So I will say
a lot of tentacles now.
Liz, I will say this. The president said if this thing expands to his business interests, he's going to he might fire Mueller. He basically said that that's a red line if they go beyond the core of why Mueller was appointed, which was to look at collusion with his campaign. It is pretty clear right now, based on the questions that Trump associates and witnesses have been asked, this is recent, that they are beyond that line, that they're looking at his business interests, who he did business in Russia.
This is your individual reporting that's turning this up.
They're looking at when he decided to run, to try to correspond it to when they know the Russians began meddling in the campaign. This is a really far-flung investigation. And, the president late last year was talking to friends of his saying, like Chris Ruddy, who runs Newsmax, he was saying, I think this thing is over. I've been told that they're wrapping this up. Chris Ruddy said, well, they may be wrapping up a very narrow part of this thing, but, watch out, because he may have expanded this thing to...
I don't think anybody knows what Robert Mueller is really doing.
I don't. I mean, listen, this could be just...
Except the people in the office.
This could be just dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and just raising questions with people to see if they would bite. Or it could be that they really have a far-flung investigation.
Well, Gates now appears to have... Rick Gates, who is going to cooperate.
Right.
He worked on the campaign. He's had charges dropped, or he's going to have charges dropped?
Well, he entered in a plea agreement. And we should point out that what's fascinating about all the plea agreements and indictments that have come down so far, they don't necessarily involve collusion. They involve, in the case of Mr. Gates, money laundering, because he was working with Paul Manafort, the former campaign manager. Gates was a campaign official, and the charges are money laundering. We should point out that Manafort denies the charges, and he's going to fight them in court. Gates has cut this plea deal. Flynn, General Flynn, same sort of thing, lying to investigators, not collusion.
And he's cut a plea deal.
We know he's going to cooperate. Okay,
rather,
so
yes.
All I'm saying is this: that so far the charges the charges seem not to be in collusion, not to be collusion. The scope of the investigation is so wide that it includes both collusion and Trump's business interests. We should point out, I'm going to have a whole business interest in Russia, whether there's some sort of tie there. I'm going to have a whole write-up on this on foxbusiness.com.